Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Blake Creamer, and I'm a proud friend of the creator of Apples and Genos. And in this podcast, Gagan and I are going to give you all the best streamers and ad options for next week so you can start planning early. Let's get to bed. Oh, yeah. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here. Really appreciate that. Nate Krutniblink couldn't be here with us today, and I should let you know why. You recently joined an off-Broadway rendition of the play Wicked. All right. And he's playing Prince Fiero. So tonight's opening night for him. We wish him all the best in that endeavor. Break a leg, King.
Good luck.
But, good luck. Yeah, we'll definitely get him to hit us up with some of those songs when he returns. This guy's got a beautiful instrument. Giggity. And I thought, who's the most epic man out there? All right. Who's just a pure machismo, just masculinity personified? Who can really bring the thunder and elevate this podcast? And there was really only one answer. I've got my brother in fantasy here and a hell of a snappy dresser, Gagan Gill from the A&G squad. Buddy, how you doing today?
Awful, just awful. I lost all my money on Hawk Tua coin, and I'm broke now. You
did too. Oh my God! Yeah, I didn't want to tell my wife, but yeah, we're
don't tell her.
Here. Yeah.
You know, the divorces are almost as expensive as losing your money on Hawk Tua coin. But other than that, I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this episode. It's been a while since I've been on, so I'm looking forward to it. I've been meaning to do an episode with you, so this is gonna be a good one, everyone.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. Gagan and I basically wasted all of the good content offline, and now we have nothing to talk about. Is that right, Gagan? Yeah,
this is gonna be a dry one, but it's gonna be great. We'll have a good time. We'll have some fun, some goofs, some gaffes. It'll be a good time. You're gonna learn something new, ladies and gentlemen.
This guy really jacks you up. Oh man, I'm here for it. All right, buddy. We got some stuff to do here. This is the Waiver Wire Show, folks, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, Gagan is going to get into some Newsies.
Newsies. All right, let's do it. So our boy Rasmus Dahlin, he's skating on his own. He's progressing from his back spasms. It's held him out for the last 4 games, and I hold him in a couple of leagues. I was getting worried, but there's a chance he could return in one of the games coming up. The Sabres really need this guy. They're just not doing good. I can't imagine how awful that locker room is, especially with your captain. What are they on, like an 8-game losing streak or something?
It's not good over there, and that power play, buddy, it stinks.
Awful, just awful. I traded Marner for Dahlin in a points league, and I'm still feeling pretty good about it. But I need Dahlin back. Come back soon, brother. Speaking of some injuries, there's good news for Leafs fans. Our boy Stoli, the goalie, Anthony Stolarz, he avoided a major injury after leaving Thursday's game with a lower body injury. Status is reported to be day-to-day for now, so shouldn't miss a ton of time. Dennis Hildebeest has been called up, and he'll likely get one of the starts for the Leafs on their back-to-back Saturday and Sunday, splitting with Wall. So, you need a goalie? There's a streamer right there for you, free.
Love that name, Dennis. That's such a hockey name. Hey, me, my buddy Dennis the Hildebeest. That guy's winning on all levels. Anyways, I'm sorry, buddy. Carry on.
Just reminds me of the Dennis the Menace, the movie. Remember that one from the 90s?
I do remember it. Yeah. Who was the dad in that? Walter Matthau?
The mustache.
Was it Walter Matthau has a face like that? What's that droopy dog? You know what
I'm talking about?
Sharpei?
Is that the British Bulldog or something?
Skin folds. I don't know.
The jowls. St. Bernard.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. Evan Bouchard. My boy Evan. He was checked into the goalpost towards the end of Thursday's game against the Wild. He's being reevaluated Friday today when we're recording. He's a game time decision for Saturday's game. If he misses time, look for Ekholm to jump up to power play 1. They might do a 5-forward set, but we'll wait and see. I wouldn't mind snapping up some Ekholm shares, even if they do a 5-person power play. Somebody's got to eat Bouchard's minutes. Ekholm's he's just a stud. Points league, bangers league. If he's available, I'd pause this episode right now. I'd rush to get my boy Matthias Ekholm. You got Matthias Ekholm on any of your leagues here?
I do actually. He was dropped in Cupful. I traded him straight up this week with Thomas Harley. And I did get the 2-goal game in for Thomas Harley, so that was nice. But I think they're similar type defensemen.
Yeah.
Right? And I like Ekholm's environment. Obviously, they're in Edmonton, but yeah, the production hasn't really been there. But I think it's gonna come up here, especially with Bouchard out.
Totally. And Bangers Cats, especially, I really like Icone more than the Harley Davidson. Blocks, hits, gives you some shots, some pims. I love that. But anyways, moving on. Horvat, unfortunately, didn't finish the Islanders' last game. He took a hard slash. They were up big at that point, so could just be precautionary. Keep an eye on it. I don't want you guys to be waiting to see if his status is out or not. Just letting you know, might be one of those annoying things where they put him out at the very last second. So just keep that on your radar. Yeah, you had anything to say to that? We're both Vancouver boys. You got an opinion on Horvat?
No, oh God, I'm still mad at him. I don't, what do you don't slag the Vancouver Canucks fans. No. All right, buddy, you don't do that. But yeah, I hope he gets well, though. I mean, the Islanders sure need him. That's not looking good over there. I mean, Sorokin is the best player on the team, clearly. And if he's not standing on his head, they're not winning games.
Yeah, totally. Fuck. Moving on to, let's say, Hedman. He was a late scratch in Thursday's game after taking part in the warm-ups. Lower body injuries. Going to get some more info. It's a little vague. It's up in the air at the moment. So who gets that top power play spot? Everybody's favorite defenseman, Darren Radish. He's the man last game. We need to hear some more about Hedman. But if he's out for a while, pick up Radish. He's not owned up anywhere. So, wouldn't be a bad expenditure of your ad. What do you think of Radish, other than he tastes or sounds like a delicious vegetable?
I don't understand radishes in general. Like, why would anyone go out of their way to eat a radish? It doesn't make sense. But Darren Radish, I'm definitely interested in if Hedman's out. I mean, that power play is lethal over there, obviously. So, and they're cooking right now. It seems like every game, Cooch is getting a 5-point night. Point is getting a 4-point night. Gensel's popping off. Like, they're really crushing right now. So if Radish has access to that power play, that's a guy that's got to be on your radar for sure.
Oh, totally. Just bounce a few pucks off his butt. He doesn't have to be good. Just being around that all-star cast, that's all you need. Our Apples and Geno's homeboy, Nikolaj Ehlers, has been practicing in a non-contact jersey. Could be an option sooner rather than later. So, that's exciting. We all love Nikolaj Ehlers. He's a beast. So, and Dan Vlader of the Calgary Flames is dealing with a lower body injury. So, Dustin Wolf is going to get some volumes. That's especially important if you're in a points league that just makes goalies overpowered. Dustin Wolf's been dropped a bit. You might be able to snag him up.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. With Dustin Wolf, it's weird. It hasn't been a good run for him. Obviously, Vladar's been getting some starts there, but yeah, he's back in business. I like that goalie a lot. Obviously, for the future as well. That's a great dynasty ad. But yeah, that's it, buddy. That's the Newsies. Thank you for your service, Gagan. Yeah, and now we have to attack that schedule. Let's do it. We got to get in for schedule attack. All right. We're talking about week 11 here in the NHL, and let's get into it here. It's a great week for streaming, folks. So get excited about that.
Beats the shit out of this week. Oh my God. This week has been awful. Today had one game, Ottawa versus Carolina. Come on, man. I can't stream anyone from these teams.
It's painful, buddy. Like, obviously Carolina is the only team you're really adding from, and they got shut out today. So you went out and you added, Jordan Martin, right? And it's like, what? Like, this is freaking brutal, but that's fine. Next week is going to be a lot better. We're going to be able to use our strategies to kind of overwhelm other teams with games. So let's get into it here. Monday, 3 games played. Tuesday, 10 games. Wednesday, there's 5 games. Thursday, 9 games. Friday, 7 games. Saturday, 11 games. And Sunday, 6 games. That's excellent. Like, the busiest night of the week is an 11-game Saturday. You're going to be able to get players in on that Saturday. So there's really no reason to be benching skaters this week. And we'll get into a little bit of strategy here. But let's talk about this upcoming week. There's 51 total games played. And that's pretty much a normal week here. We like to call, 51 to 54 games a normal week. So that's sort of where we're at here. Let's get into some of these back-to-backs. there are 0 teams this week with a Sunday, Monday back-to-back. So we won't be able to get any advantage there. But there is 1 team with a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the week, and that's the Washington Capitals. They obviously had a stinky schedule here in week 10, but that's a nice ad for sure if you want to get in on that Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. And then there are 3 teams with the Monday, Wednesday to open the week. So you're dodging that, quote unquote busy Tuesday, which is a 10-game Tuesday. Monday, Wednesday plays Dallas Stars, Florida Panthers, and the Vancouver Canucks. There are 7 teams with the Wednesday, Friday off nights. Anaheim, Dallas, Detroit, Florida, Minnesota, Toronto, and the Utah Hockey Club. One of the worst names I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I hope they change that to
what are we
the
doing
Yeti.
here? I love the fit though. I love that like the
colors. The colors are beautiful.
Yeah, those are dope. But I mean, it's gonna be Yeti. It's got to be Yeti. That's kind of a cool. I don't know. I'm kind of into that. But
I don't know jack shit about Utah. I don't even know if it's snowy for a Yeti. But yeah, the Yeti sounds.
I mean,
way
higher
better.
up in the mountains. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't been to Utah. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but apparently there's Yetis there. All right, they're in the mix. So anyways, let's move on. There, 7 teams with the Friday, Sunday off nights to dodge that busy Saturday. Again, Anaheim, Carolina, Colorado, Florida, New York Rangers, Utah, and the Washington Capitals. So lots of options here, right? So terrific week for streaming. These heavy nights, like I said, not too heavy at all, and you're going to have lots of end of the week options. So definitely keep an eye on your ads here. Like I said, there's no reason to be benching people this week. You got to figure it out and maximize your games played. So, like streaming 101, figure out who's the worst 1 to 2 players on your roster. And those are your streamers, right? Those are going to be the players that you're getting off of this week so you can get games played and suffocate your opponent with those games played. Am I right, Gagan?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. That streamer spot is so important. I almost view that streamer spot as a 70 to 90 point player if you stream the way we stream, really. If you listen to Apples and Genos, that streamer spot is likely more valuable than one of your worst players. And sometimes we get attached to a guy we drafted in like, the 6th or 7th round. But if you just listen to us, like these streamer spots are so much more valuable than you would think.
Yeah. Streaming is really important. I mean, it's
and fun. So fun.
I enjoy it, but yeah, it's weird decisions that you have to make, aren't they? Like, it's like, will I take, 3 games of player X who's a lesser player or 2 games of player Y that maybe has a chance of getting more points? And those are the type of decisions you're making. And that's why you're listening to us here right now. But yeah, that's streaming 101. Gagan, we need to lower those expectations. We got to talk about the worst teams to stream or drop players from. What do you got for us?
All right, buddy. There's 2 teams that you want to avoid like the bubonic plague, and those are the New York Islanders and the Vegas Golden Knights. These guys, these 2 teams only have 2 games played this week with 0 off nights. So, it's rough. You got your usuals on New York. You got your Horvats, your Nelsons, your Lees, your Palmieri's. What do you think here about this situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, right? I think obviously Horvat is potentially injured right now. So hopefully if he's day-to-day, maybe you have an IR plus, you can just slide him in there and maybe just set and forget. But I mean, if he's healthy, I think I'm not dropping Bo Horvat.
You can't drop him
at this point. No, Brock Nelson. I'm not dropping Brock Nelson. But where it gets interesting to me is Anders Lee, who's having a great season, right? Yeah. This guy's, I mean, in the last 5 games, he's got 5 points. This guy's 96 overall in shots to goal per 60, 39th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60. So lots to like about Anders Lee, but I mean, are we holding him in a 2-game week when, this is going to be one of the questions, right? I feel like you can drop Lee and I'm not too worried about it. Kyle Palmieri is another one who I think that you can probably get off of, although he is having a nice little run here, 4 points in the last 5 games. But I mean, where's your cutoff line with these Islanders here, Gagan?
It's just I like to know my opponents in my leagues, and I feel like I have a good idea of if I drop Horvat or if I drop Brock Nelson, who's going to snatch him up. And I feel like in most of my leagues, most, if not all, my opponents would snatch them up. For Lee and Palmieri, not really so much. For Lee in a Bangers league, he gets a bit of a longer leash, but even then, it's a 2-game week. He's shooting a lot. He's hitting a lot. He's getting you some points, but I still am okay dropping him in a 2-game week. because hey, my opponents also know it's a 2-game week, and I'll take that risk. But yeah, Horvat and Nelson, those guys, especially Nelson being back on power play 1 finally. Last I checked, that's important.
He's a buy low, right? Nate and I
Oh, yeah.
talked about him on the flagship show. Like, it's not an exciting buy low, but
No.
this is a guy that is going to get better. And with the return of Matt Barzal and Anthony Duclair, who are both skating right now, like there's no timeline on these players, but I think they're, closer to returning than, spending a bunch more time off. I think that's going to be a net positive for guys like Brock Nelson. Anders Lee is an interesting one, though. I'm just looking at his stats on the season here. This guy is 19th overall in the entire league in shots to goal per 60. Which is crazy, and 6th overall in individual scoring chances 4/60. So, it's not just like I'm dropping Anders Lee, but
Right.
I think I like your sentiment there. It's like, who's going to go out there and be quickly adding Anders Lee? I don't think that's a guy where like, oh, buddy dropped Anders Lee, what's he doing? Pick him right up. It's not one of those situations. So I think that, knowing your teammates is probably a helpful situation there. But I think, oh, you know what, buddy? I streamed in JGP, Pajot.
I love him.
Yeah.
Right wing eligibility and everything. I love that.
He got 3 assists last night. Oh, man, that's an amazing stream. And he plays Sunday on an off night this week here. So I'm loving JGP, and then I'm going to bounce him, kick him to the curb. Like, he's
one of my favorite stream. I do tons of bangers leagues with face-offs, and now that he has that winger eligibility, he's one of my favorite streamers all throughout the year. I can never hold him long term, but a great streamer, man.
Great banger. Okay, carry on, my man. Who's next?
Oh, let's see. Well, let's go into Vegas. Same sentiment. How do you rank these players on Vegas? They're also on the same boat. 2 games played, 0 off nights. I'm gonna shoot these names at you. Let me know how you rank them. Pietrangelo, Barbashev, Hurdle, Hanifin, Carlson, Dorofeev, Olofsson. How would you rank these guys? Would you drop most of them, all of them? Would you hold on to 1 or 2? What do you think?
Oh, man, Vegas is tough, right? Because, they're getting healthy. Even just the return of Mark Stone is, again, another net positive for the team, right? Like, they kind of weathered the storm without him. But, I mean, him on that top line with Barbashev and Eichel, these guys are cooking. And just, it's crazy. Like, Barbashev is a guy that I still think is a massive sell high, but he's still doing the thing. I mean, to some degree, right? Like 2 goals in the last 5, that's not great, but you got to like the return of Mark Stone. Anyways, I think you're probably holding Pietrangelo. Where is he at? Like 47-point pace. Okay. Like, I think you're probably, if you needed to drop Pietrangelo, you could. Barbashev, I don't think I would drop him, but I would try and trade him. Hurdle, I'm keeping. I think everybody down past there is probably a drop, and I'm concluding Hanifin, William Karlsson, Pavel Dorofeev, right? Like, he's an exciting player with great metrics, right? But 0 points in his last 5 games. That show ain't no good. Okay, we can't just keep taking zeros, especially in the 2-game week. And then Victor Olofsson, who's moved up to power play 1, that's a player of interest for me, but not this week. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these Vegas?
No, I totally agree. Olofsson on power play 1 is awesome. Him and Eichel have had great chemistry from their Buffalo days, but it's not worth holding on for a 2-game. We want to overwhelm our opponents. We want that easy win that comes with man games. A week like this means you can really have a leg up on your opponent with just man games. And no, I don't like Olofsson enough to hold on to him. I agree with you on the holds on Barbashev and Hurdle. I especially love Hurdle again for bangers, Cats leagues. He's got that left wing eligibility. He does some bangs, some blocks, some face off wins. He was on goddamn steroids to begin the year, but he cooled off, but I'm still holding on to him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's doing just enough, isn't he? Like, last 5 games, he's 12th overall in individual scoring chances 4/60. And then the on-ice numbers are pretty damn nice as well. 25th overall in Corsi 4/60, 26th overall in scoring chances 4/60 for him and his line. So, yeah, he's on a 60-point pace. Yeah, there's not much we can do. We probably have to hold on to Thomas Hurdle, especially with the return of Mark Stone. I think there's some offense to be had, but I don't know if you had to drop Hurdle. Okay. But I think there's probably, better options for you to drop on your team.
Guess if you're in like an 8-man league. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. 8-man league, bounce Hurdle to the curb and don't even think about it. But it gets a little dicey after that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Talk to us about sort of the next bunch of teams that have crappy schedules.
Let's see here. We got 8 teams that have 3 games played and 0 off nights. We're gonna dive a little deeper into that. with a little segment for all you Mad TV listeners called Lowered Expectations.
Lowered expectations. Yay!
Expectation.
That was hilarious. Actually, shout out to Mad TV. You know what one of my
Fuck.
favorite Mad TV skits is that one where I think it's a lady, but she's playing a man and she's in a movie theater. She said, "Yo, can I have your number?" You know that
Oh
skit?
yeah.
Oh
That's
my
a
god.
legend. That's one of the newer ones. I grew up on Mad TV. My grandma let me watch that all night, which says a lot.
Your
But
grandma's a legend. All right. My
yeah,
grandma wouldn't let me watch The Simpsons. All right. She's like, get that crap off the TV. I was like, what am I doing?
that's crazy. You love The Simpsons. Maybe that's
Uh,
why, because she wouldn't let you, so you got into it,
Yeah,
right?
she drove me into it. But can
Yeah.
I have your number? Can I have it?
Love that one.
Yeah. Anyways, we're digressing.
I'm
But
I'm a fan of Stewart. Stewart was a
yeah,
good one. Yeah.
Stewart. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's classic stuff. All right, shout out to Mad TV.
Shout out.
Let's move on. We got to talk about the best teams to streams, or the way what we like to call it over here, crossing the streams. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is the best teams to stream. And Gugsy, I'm glad you're here, my man, because I wanted to regale our listeners with that crazy story. All right, that happened last time we crossed the streams. Do you mind if I tell that story?
I mean, you know what? My wife doesn't listen to this podcast, so yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
All right. So Gugs, Nate, and I were out at the lake, right? And it's very secluded. We brought a beautiful picnic lunch out there, right? Nate, remember that charcuterie board that he brought? Like that was
Dude,
crazy.
he was
You
up
brought-
all night.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it was like, boar bacon or something. I don't even know what was going on, but it was delicious. You brought the red pepper jelly, and we're just,
Oh yeah, I did, buddy.
yeah, we're just three guys taking it to the limit on a Thursday afternoon. Okay. We go for a triple stream. Okay. Which we do, right? And we're staring out at a beautiful sunset. Water is trickling, birds are chirping, right? And all of a sudden, this beefy squirrel pops up out of nowhere. And I mean, this thing is yoked, right? He had
that thing was like Kiefer Sherwood yoked. That was a beefer.
Yeah, this guy's insane. He's got traps, he's got lats, and I think I saw some back acne as well, right?
Yeah.
From the juice this guy's on, right?
Must have been on juice, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, he just started staring at us, right? With unwavering eye contact while we're trying to cross the streams, and to the point that I got stage fright, right? I couldn't continue. He was just staring at us. So basically, we had to slink away, and we went into the forest and we just whizzed on a bush, right? It's not the same feeling, as it normally is. But it turns out when we got back, this squirrel and his friends took our charcuterie. Okay, plus a beautiful bottle of wine that Gagan brought. You remember this, Gagan?
That wine was my favorite. It cost $14. I was so pissed.
Yeah, those grapes were they were harvested at a beautiful time. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyways, just gone, right? They took the whole picnic. So the moral of the story, don't go camping at a lake next to a nuclear power plant. Okay, that's really it. Because I mean,
unless you want to get yoked, then do it.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, we brought some power bars, so we were okay for a bit, but just to ruin time. Anyways, buddy, what the hell? I'm sorry about this.
The people needed to know. Don't apologize. The people need to know. It's good.
I mean, we're three men, just we're just being men out at in nature. Anyways,
the man shit.
Yeah, exactly. We got to talk about the best teams to stream from. Okay, that's what we're doing here. That's how we get from A to B. And there's a clear winner here. In week 11, we've got the Florida Panthers with a 4-game week, all on the off nights, right? So they played Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And the only thing that kind of stinks a little bit is their streamers are subpar, right? And I'm going to throw some names at you here, Gagan.
Yeah.
Anton Lundell, Erod, Evan Rodriguez, Mikola. All right, he's good for bangers. Itu Luostarinen and Maki Samaskevich. Like, talk to me about the Florida Panthers and just your kind of temperature on some of these players here. Who are you looking to add?
Yeah, man. It's a weird position. This is an unbeatable schedule. You're not going to find a team with a better schedule, but like the people you have available kind of suck. They're kind of mid for most leagues. I'm a Bangers Cats guy, so Mikola's on the top of my radar. But Rodriguez, man, he pops off here and there, and knowing that he's going to be on your active roster for 4 games this week. That's special. So if you're in a points league, even if you're in a bangers league and you're not really into Mikola and you don't really need the hits and blocks, Rodriguez is fine. I actually think Rodriguez would be my top choice. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I think for me personally, I'd probably go Lundell, but
Yeah.
Evan Rodriguez is the guy with the better metrics, right? I think Lundell has been the luckier player this year, the guy that's converting more and getting more points, right? But Evan Rodriguez, like he's 82nd overall in shots to goal per 60 in the last 5 games, 25th overall in chuck and pucks per 60, pretty damn nice.
He
But
always
100,
shoots.
yeah,
Love
I
it.
mean he does that. He's a big time chucker, Evan Rodriguez. But I mean 107th overall in individual scoring chances for. So
Yeah.
he's chucking pucks. He's not doing it from a dangerous area,
Yeah. It's
unfortunately.
always
But
from like the blue line or something,
yeah, but I mean, the good thing is, I like that take actually. That Erod is your pick, just because he is getting top 6 deployment. He's playing with Sam Bennett and Matt Tkachuk right now.
Yeah.
So and power play too. That's a decent place to be. So I do like that. I think I just like what Lundell is actually doing. Like he's bringing actual production, even though the last little bit here, 0 points in 5 games. What the hell am I even talking about? But obviously he's had a good season, 54-point pace. He's got 19 points in 29 games. I just think that the Panthers like Lundell, and he's going to get a little bit more run out there. He's a great defensive center as well, so there's a chance.
Barkov Jr.
Yeah, he really is. And I think there's, he's one of those guys that could be out there in the last minute of games, right? Picking up some of those ENGs, right? So I do like Lundell. I mean, like you said, Nico Mikkola is a great guy for bangers leagues. Lewis Starnin, I mean, we're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel, right? If you're picking him up, right? But he does have dual eligibility on Yahoo. That's not terrible. Mackie Samoskevich, I should shout this man out. Last 3 games, he's only playing like 10 and a half minutes, but he's 3rd overall in shots and goal per 60, 5th overall in individual Corsi 4 per 60. So
he had some looks against the Canucks. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. You can tell he's a talented offensive player. It's just, this is one of those guys that he's a 4th liner that's a per minute beast, right? But until the deployment comes up, Jimmy Crack-Corn, and I don't care. Like we're not super interested there, but I mean, if it's a deep league, I think Samoskevich could be a reasonable option for you here. But I do want to say as well, 4 games and 4 off nights is great for the Florida Panthers, but in this type of week, it doesn't really matter that much, right? Because
that's a very good point.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get players in on these busier nights. So you don't really need to target those off nights the same way we did here in week 10. I think the off nights were so important here. Week 11, not as important. So while Florida has a great schedule here, I think we can target guys that are, have a little bit more potential to pop off this week.
So Florida has 4 games played. They're all on 4 off nights, but you might have the bench spot, the roster spots available for a team that has maybe 4 games played and only 3 off nights. Speaking of which,
there you go. Oh my! What a segue! What a freaking segue!
Not
all right,
bad.
buddy. Yeah, so that's Florida. We're going to talk about 2 more teams, Colorado Avalanche and the Washington Capitals. They both have 4 games with 3 off nights. So Colorado plays Monday, then they play the Thursday, Friday back-to-back, and then they play Sunday. So Colorado, to me, is a great option for your back half of the week, right? If you get a Monday, Wednesday, maybe team to start the week, and then you jump into a Colorado player on Thursday to get those 3 games, that's 5 games with 2 ads. That's a really nice place to be, right? And Colorado has some reasonable options, and we'll get into them. I will talk about Washington though as well. They play Monday, Tuesday, and then they have Friday and Sunday. So some really good schedules for both those teams. You might be able to get all 4 games in for these teams. So let's look at Colorado first. And obviously we got to talk about our boy, Ross Cameo Colton. Is he available out there? I mean, he's at 50% right now on Yahoo. I think in pretty sharp leagues, this guy should definitely be rostered. But I mean, Ross Colton is getting line 2, power play 2. Casey Middlestat, is out there as well, getting power play 2. What do you think about the Avalanche here? And is there any players that you're sort of targeting, even besides these players?
Yeah, no, the Avalanche. I've been streaming Avalanche goaltenders all year, thinking, I'm so smart. I picked up Justice Annan in my draft with the last pick, and that didn't work out. And then I go out for Scott Wedgwood as soon as he gets traded, and that's been okay. And
the wedgie.
The wedge man, yeah, and I got some of Blackwood, but as far as skaters, I had Middlestat in a lot of my leagues when he just boomed.
Yeah, me too.
That was awesome. too bad he's kind of sucks now and his deployment's gone. And the same story for Ross Colton. When everyone was injured, Colton on power play 1, oh my God, that was insane.
Yep.
I figured the coach knows what Colton is. I feel like Bednar and Nate must be, emailing each other at this point about how awesome this guy is. But if he's available, yeah, take him. I'm personally hoping he gets back on power play 1. This guy is a beast. Have you watched some of Colton? He had that what was it, broken foot? How do you think that's been affecting him?
I mean, yeah, he's back to biz. Like he's obviously, I think he's back to normal, but the problem is the deployment, right? He was in such a plum spot there, and yeah, he's still in a decent spot, but it's just, like obviously you got Valerie Nichushkin back, you got Arturi Lehkonen back. Colton is not going to get any power play 1 time unless those guys get injured, right? Because you also have Casey Middlestad out there who's getting bumped to power play 2 as well. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But anytime he gets back on power play 1, I think Nate was so happy, and I'm so happy for him because he's been talking about this player for years, right? And he got some deployment, he got some opportunity, and he finally took advantage of that opportunity. So that's obviously a player of interest, but until his deployment changes, we got to temper expectations. It's not going to be the same Colton that we saw. Middlestat as well. I mean, I'm happy to see that he's put some points on the board here. Like Middlestat's got 3 assists in his last 5 games, but the metrics, as per usual, putrid, right? Like last 5 games, 382nd in shots to goal per 60. Buddy, you gotta, shoot the puck. Is what my mom says anytime I watch a Canucks game. They gotta shoot the puck. It's like, yeah, Mom, I know they got to shoot the puck, but it's not that easy. It's clearly not that easy for Casey Middlestat. All right, he has an aversion to it apparently, and 365th in individual scoring chances 4 per 60. So he's one of these guys that's just an absolute facilitator, and he's really slick at that. But without power play 1, that talent is going to go unfulfilled, right? He's not going to have the same ceiling. So that said, I like the Avalanche. Those 2 players should be rostered for this week, no question. Ross Colton, I think, is a spec ad. You got to have him on your team for now and just see what he does, right? In his 4 games back, he's got 1 goal. The metrics are not great in the last 4 games. Like he's 187th overall in shots goal per 60, 234th in individual scoring chances 4 per 60. So that really is indicative to me of sort of his spot in the lineup. Right. And he's coming back from injury, right? But if you look at what he did on the season, check this out, Gagan. 20th overall in shots and goal per 60, 2nd overall in individual scoring chances 4 per 60. That's what he was doing. Those are his overall season numbers. And that's the potential of Ross Colton. And that's what Nate talks about all the time. But, without that deployment, it's not going to happen.
You need the deployment. You really do. But gun to your head. Who you taking, Colton or Middlestat?
Oh, I'm taking Colton all day. If he's there, that's you know what? What's a better question? Are you taking Casey Middlestat or Ivan?
Oh, Ivan.
Absolutely.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Ivan.
I'm taking him for the name alone. That's it. I don't even care. Fun fact, Ivan, he's on power play 2. All right. And this guy's actually pretty damn good. I think this is going to be a player in a couple of years
totally.
that we're talking about. I really feel like the Avalanche sort of prioritized him over Nikolai Kovalenko, and they moved him out. Right. They're like, Kovalenko, get the hell out of here. We got Ivan over here. We only need 1 young gun. All right. Bubbling under the surface, ready to pop in a couple years. So shout out to Ivan. You could do worse if you want to pick up a player, but he's getting no deployment, folks. So, definitely temper expectations there. Let's move on. We got to talk about Washington. And if we're talking about Washington, we got to talk about that absolute unit, PLD. All right. Pierre-Luc Dubois. Gagan, back me up on this. Pierre-Luc Dubois, is he a real player? Is this a guy that could get 60 points in this league again?
I think so. He's actually been pretty damn good, given how everyone hated him from last year. I've been watching some Capitals game. Maybe he's not producing on the offense, but he's been pretty defensively sound. I don't know if he's worth his contract. What do you think about this man? No, I know what you think. You love this guy. I remember watching your.
No, this is funny. Yeah, because I get this a lot. PLD's your guy. It's like, no, he's not my guy. I just said that he'll get 65 points, and I still think that. Because everybody hates PLD for good reason, right? This guy's been a ding dong for a couple seasons now, but that doesn't change the fact
when he was a Blue Jacket. Remember that shift?
Yeah, the brutal shift, and it's immortalized on YouTube for everyone to see. This guy just what was he doing out there? What was he doing? I don't know.
He just wanted to be traded.
Yeah,
Trade me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dingus. But anyways, PLD's, I think he's doing pretty well right now. I mean, 6 points in the last 5 games. I like that. Metrics are okay. He's on a 59-point pace on the year. And I think with Ovechkin out, PLD is he's required to do a little bit more. And I'm not sure that's the best look on PLD. I think once Ovechkin does return, I think PLD, I think his offense might go up, right? Like he's not going to see as much of the opposing teams like best pairing, best line match, right? So I still like PLD, and he's doing this with power play too, right? This is a guy that hasn't had power play 1 ever since Connor McMichael shot up the roster chart there. PLD's on power play 2, and it's not, I don't think that's really going to change. So
no, I mean, Chychrun, they're doing that 2 defenseman power play, but Chychrun's such a good defenseman. He's pretty much like a forward. It kind of works with that 2 defenseman power play. I don't know.
It does. Yeah. Chychrun to me is, I love that because I have Chychrun everywhere and I was still pissed. I'm like, fine, I'll take Chychrun because I love the player.
Same.
Yeah. It's like he's power play 2, whatever. But it's been really nice. Chychrun's really, I mean, to me, he could be an elite power play 1 defenseman. But when you're behind John Carlson, you don't just take over for John Carlson. John Carlson's still a really good power play 1 defenseman. So I'm glad they're going 2D there. But shout out to PLD. Talk to me, Gagan, about a couple of fringe players there on Washington, Alexei Protas and Matt Roy. You have any interest in these players?
Protas, he's getting that top line deployment, but it's without Alex Ovechkin, that top even strength line, he's playing with Dylan Strome and Tom Wilson. I'm not too excited about that. Again, I'm a Bangers Cats guy, so instead of getting maybe a point or 2 from Protas, I'm actually more interested in Roy. He's on penalty kill unit 2. He's going to throw the body around. You can always count on that. And if you guys remember, to the listeners, if you remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago when Nate said he won a week because of Nick Jensen, because these types of players, they might not get you points all the time, but they'll give you a good amount of hits, blocks, and those are worth something in leagues, especially when you're winning by a point or 3. So I personally like Roy over Protas. But I'm a Bangers Cats guy. If you're in a pure points league, maybe go with Protas. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like that. I definitely take Protas over Roy, but I like your take on Matt Roy. This is a guy who's got 2 assists in the last 5 games, but the metrics are pretty decent. He's shooting the puck pretty well, 10th overall on shots on goal per 60 amongst D-men. That's nice to see, right?
That's pretty crazy.
He's not an offensive defenseman, but he's an amazing defenseman in real life, right? For actual hockey, this guy's elite, and he's playing on a really good team. So I think you could do a hell of a lot worse than Matt Roy. Protas to me is, I think this guy should definitely be added for this week. 3 goals, 3 assists in the last 5 games, 7th overall in shots on goal per 60.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know he's doing that well. Holy.
Yeah. No, he's doing the thing, right? He's doing the thing over there, which I like to see. Still, he's not getting power play 1. So obviously that's not something that we can expect from him, but Jimmy Crack-Corn, and I don't care. Like, the guy's putting up some decent numbers, and I was just digging in here at 5-on-5. This guy's actually, even strength. This guy's 12th overall in the entire league in points. He has 25 points at even strength. Really? Alexei Protas.
This guy has been a bit off outside of my radar. Then I apologize, Alexei Protas.
No, but
he's got a cool name. He's got a sick name too. So you know what?
Yeah.
My bad, Alexei Protas.
No, it's all good, but like that's kind of interesting to me because this is a guy that's outside of people's radar and you don't think about. And I think this is a great week to add a guy like Protas because of first off, he's actually producing, and then second off, he's doing the thing under the hood right now, which is not really something that he's been doing all year. So a great even strength performer. I love players like this because if they ever start popping off on the power play, I mean, that's just icing on the cake. This guy's already got a rock solid foundation. So shout out to Protas, shout out to Matt Roy. There we go. All right. Let's move on to the next few teams here. There are 3 teams that have 3 games played all on the off nights. So that's the type of week we're dealing with here, folks. And they are the Anaheim Ducks, the Dallas Stars, and the Utah Hockey Club. Let's start with Anaheim. They play Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. It's the same old story. We got
typical Anaheim week, right?
Exactly.
There.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. There's got to be a reason why Anaheim has all these off nights. I think I heard about it at some point. It's like they have like
The
a
Kings.
concert schedule or something like that. Like
Some shit like that.
I don't even know, but yeah,
I
every
read
year.
some like Reddit comment that they have a deal with Staples Center, but they don't play in this. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's something, but yeah, like they have all the off nights again this year. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Anaheim a lot. And the good thing is they've got some guys that can do some stuff. So let's start. I mean, in bangers leagues, obviously for Gugs, you got Radko Gudas. He's owned in a bangers league. He should be. But what about Jacob Trouba? Are you interested at all in Jacob Trouba in bangers leagues now on his new team in Anaheim?
Absolutely. That the Ducks have the puck even less than the Rangers did, and you saw what he did on the Rangers, right? And the nice thing about Trouba is if he's on the ice, the team definitely doesn't have the puck because he's kind of awful. But in a bangers league, oh baby, I'm taking that all day. This guy hits and blocks like a monster. He shoots the puck a good amount. He's one of those bangers that is so great for your bangers fantasy team, but like not so much in real life. At least for the contract, $8 million for that is a little rough. What do you think with Trouba?
Yeah, I mean, I like the trade. Obviously, he was checked out there in New York, so I don't think it's a fair evaluation of the player for the time that he had in New York. Like, it was an untenable situation there for him. Like they were trying to push him out. They tried to push him out last year.
Yeah.
Why
did they make him captain? Why would you do that?
Well, I think it was before Laviolette, right?
Yeah,
so he comes in and then, he's not the coach's boy, right? He wants to go a different way, and they're not even going to name a captain there in New York. So they
should stop having captains on that team.
It's strange times over there right now, which is so weird because that team should be a wagon. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, Jacob Trouba, I mean, last 4 games, 0 points. That stinks. Metrics are terrible for defensemen. He's on an 18-point pace. He hasn't scored a goal yet, but I honestly think that his fantasy outlook is more positive on Anaheim than it was on New York, which is such a strange thing to say. But I really feel like the minutes are going to be there, and 18 points. I think we could get a little bit better than that. This should be like a 30-point guy, honestly. Like 25 to 30 points. That's not exciting. But again, it's the bangs, it's the periffs. That's what he does really well. So
would you do you think there's a world where Trouba gets power play 1 on Anaheim? Because Zellweger's been scratched. So.
Yeah, I thought there might be a chance. Like I picked him up because he had a Monday, Wednesday last week. So I picked him up. I'm like, I'll take a ride with Trouba to see what's going on, right? At the very least, I'm getting some good peripheral scoring, which I did to some degree, but it didn't really work out. But I think there's an opportunity, but it was so weird that they benched or scratched Olin Zellweger, right? This guy has been amazing under the hood. He's looking really good. It's just, I don't get it. Nate and I were talking about this the other day too. It's like, who benefits from a benching? Like, is any player ever been like, that really helped me out, like just sitting on the bench and being embarrassed like that? The way you took my dignity like that, that was great.
He's been playing good. Maybe he was, I don't know, late for a practice or showed up in a tracksuit or something. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, someone in our Discord mentioned this. It's like, Torts benched Mitchkov earlier this year. Like that's the level we're at. So Greg Cronin's benching, Olin Zellweger. Okay. But why? He's been the best defenseman on your team by far. I still maintain that, a fantasy GM should actually be a real GM.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or a coach. Like, just let us on the bench, right? Just be like, hey, buddy, no. Like, don't do that, please. Like, just put Olin Zellweger in, like bench, Cam Fowler. Like, let's do that. We don't need him in there. Okay, but that's fine. Anyways, Jacob Trouba, I think, is reasonable, certainly must add in banger leagues. Let's talk about Troy Terry. This is a guy that I think is the premium streamer for this team. This guy's got 3 points in the last 5 games, but the metrics are looking pretty damn good. 62nd overall in shots to goal per 60, 29th overall in chuck and pucks per 60, 79th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60. And I think that he has some real chemistry with Frank Vetrano. They've been put on a line together, and with Trevor Zegras now injured for probably 6 weeks, I think that Terry it's just going to be Terry season. They have no reason to not trot him out here for like 20 minutes, and that's something that I've really liked. Like his average ice time in the last 5 games, 20 minutes 30 seconds. That's what you want to see from Troy Terry, and that's not something that Greg Cronin has been doing. So we'll take Terry out of the mix here, but talk to me about these players, guys, because I think Terry's kind of a must own at this point.
But
we've got Olin Zellweger, we've got Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish, who's going to get an increased role now with Zegras out, Cutter Gauthier, Ryan Strome, Alex Killorn. Oh, God, forget him. Talk to me about your favorite Anaheim streamers.
It's Leo Carlson by far. Leo Carlson all the way. The
that.
only one out of that bunch with the power play one deployment, and he doesn't always get the most minutes, but he definitely gets more minutes than those guys, except for Killorn. Killorn always gets like 18 minutes.
Why not trot Alex Killorn out for 20 minutes a night? It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're sheltering. Last year they did this with Leo Carlson. They give him every other game. Maybe they just, I don't know, don't want him to get headhunted. I don't understand it.
Doesn't make a bit of sense. All right. No. But no, I like that. I like Leo Carlson there. I think for me, I think Mason McTavish is the end. I think that's the guy that I'm looking at. He's going to have to step up here with Zegras out. I think, Mason McTavish, like, he's still third line. He's playing with Cutter Gauthier, Robbie Fabry, which is okay, I guess. I mean, Leo Carlson's playing with Killorn and Brett Leeson. Those lines are interchangeable to me, and like, which one's the second line? Like, you tell me. I don't know. But like you said, Leo Carlson is on the top power play there with Troy Terry, so that gives him a little bit of an edge. But I think that Mason McTavish is the guy that's going to get a little bit more run moving forward with Zegras out. So I'm definitely interested in him there. But the truth is, none of these guys are really popping off under the hood. I mean, if you're looking at a metrics guy, like Cutter Gauthier was that player for a long time, but I mean, in the last 5 games, he's back down like 2 points in the last 5 games, 264th in shots to goal per 60, 320th in individual scoring chances of goal per 60. He's not doing it, but he's got one of the coolest names I've ever heard. Like, you have a baby. All right. You're at the hospital. Like, what are we going to name this bundle of joy? And the dad's like, Cutter. Yeah. And the mom's like, let's do it. I don't understand, but, thank you very much. I mean, now we get access to this beautiful man, amazing chiseled chin. It doesn't really hit enough for me, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on some of these other guys, like McTavish, and even like, are you interested in guys like Ryan Strome or Alex Killorn at all?
You know what? Ryan Strome has actually been on my radar. Again, Bangers Cats. I love centers who have winger eligibility, who take faceoff wins. And there's a stretch of games where Strome was getting a hit or two a game, a block here and there. Lately, the last couple of games haven't been that great. But, if you are in like me and you value faceoff wins, you could do worse than Strome, especially in a week like this. His offense just isn't always there. He had a good run of points lately, though, but it seems like he's cooling off. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an exciting ad, that's for sure. And in a deep league, though, sure, Ryan Strome makes sense, but there's just so many other options this week. I think we can find some better players elsewhere. Let's talk about the Dallas Stars. There's a couple players of interest here. Jamie Benn, who's now rostered at 50% on Yahoo, still getting power play 1. Put some stank on it. Logan Stankoven and Evgeny Dadonov. What's tickling your fancy here with the Dallas Stars, and who would be your potential ad?
Yeah, it's Logan Stankoven's so freaking talented. I just love him. His advanced stats have just always been solid, but I'm kind of a slut for power play 1, so it's tough to choose between him and Jamie Benn, especially, again, Bangers Cats. At least Jamie Benn can smash people. Depending on your point setting, it's a bit of a toss-up. What do you think? Who are you choosing between Jamie Benn and Stankoven?
Yeah, for me, it's always going to be Stankoven, but you're right. Like, Jamie Benn is the one actually doing the thing right now, right? He's got 4 points in the last 5 games, but metrics are, middling the way they normally are with Jamie Benn, and his ice time is stinky as well.
Yeah.
He's playing under 15 minutes a night.
That's rough.
So, yeah, I'm not into that, but Stankoven only 1 assist in the last 5 games. I just talked about him on the Buy Low show, which we just released, but yeah, I'm very interested in this player. They're both must-add players for the next week. Like, you got 3 games, 3 off nights. I think both these guys are absolutely viable here. So yeah, if I had to choose, I'd definitely take Stankoven. I mean, he's now got access to Matt Duchene and Mason Marchment, which is weirdly the Dallas Stars' top line this year. Like, did you see that coming?
I hate that so much.
Yeah,
my shares of Rupe Hintz.
Yeah, I got Hintz in 2 spots. I got Jason Robertson in just 1 spot, but it hurts, man, because I got him at the end of the 3rd round. I was like, this is incredible. I got Jason Robertson. I'm popping off. I don't even care. Even if he gets point per game, I'm loving life. Well, the guy's pacing for 50 points.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It looks like that one season where he was just like 100+ point player. That seems to be the outlier. But you know what? Maybe when DeBoer's out of town, this guy will get back to that level. I don't know. All I know is I'm never drafting this dude again.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to be value for us next year in drafts. That's for damn sure. If a guy gets 109 points, that's not a fluke.
Yeah.
He has that acumen. So, and he's a young guy. It's not like a Huberto situation where he was like 30 or 31 or something. Like Robertson's good to go. But I think it's the play style in Dallas there. But I've talked about that enough. Let's move on. Evgeny Dadonov, sure, 1 goal in 5 games. Viable ad, but again, I think you could do a lot better there for your streamer. Let's talk about Utah really quick here. We got some bits and pieces here for the Utah Hockey Club, starting with Logan Cooley. Oh man, this player's pretty damn exciting. He's on a 68-point pace. Logan Cooley. Nate had him for a sleeper here this year. I love that take, and he's getting the biz right. This guy's got 4 points in his last 5 games. I love that. Nicky Schmaltz is kind of come through the fog here. He's getting his deployment back, just under 20 minutes a night. 3 points in 5 games. Love that. Lawson Krause, he's your beefer, right? He's your resident beefer there on YouTube. Talk to me about the Utah Hockey Club. I should throw Barrett Hayton in there as well. Although
you don't have to. Don't worry about
Yeah,
Barrett.
I know, man. Yeah, he's been stinky this year. He's on a 34-point pace. My God, man.
Yeah. He came out guns blazing, but yeah. No, I definitely Cooley's my man right there. This guy, his ceiling, that's what I'm interested in. His ceiling is sky high. He seems like he probably should have been taken first overall in his draft over fucking the tall Hab. But what's this? Can you help me out here? Slavkovsky. Thank you. I like the Habs. How did I forget?
The tall Hab.
The tall Hab, the monstrous Hab. No, Cooley's legit, man, and he's getting all the deployment, literally all the deployment, even strength on the power play, on the penalty kill. So when a guy like that is getting penalty kill deployment, that means the coach likes you, and he's kissing 20 minutes sometimes. That's pretty sick. So I really highly look at Cooley. The problem is he's just a center, but if you could squeeze that in, hell yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it's an exciting player, and he's got access to Dylan Gunther, right? Who's really popping off.
The nail gun.
This is a guy we obviously, I love it. We're the nail gun, Dylan Gunther. I'm using that. All right, I'm taking that trademark to Gagan Gill. All right, but I think Gunther is really sort of found his footing here, and he's starting to put a bunch of good games together. Yeah. That's a guy we were very excited about in the offseason, and Logan Cooley is a great offensive player in his own right, and they have some chemistry, and they're playing with Banger League legend Jack McBain. Let's get silly. Yes. Say hello to my music guy, Scoey. Sorry, that's Jack McBain. But I love Logan Cooley. He's getting power play 1 as well. So I think definitely an ad for this week if he's not already rostered in your league. Makes total sense. All right, let's move on. We got to start doing some rapid fires because, as expected, Gagan, we're running long. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We do that. All right. So I'm going to throw out some players. We're going to do a bunch of rapid fire with a bunch of these teams here. Sure. And I want to get your take on this, and I'll give you my take. So the next teams down that we're looking at for schedule, 4 games played, 2 off nights, Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. Really nice schedule. I'm not going to get into their exact schedules, but again, with this type of week, you might be able to get all 4 games in with these guys. So let's start with Edmonton, and we'll talk about their streamers. Jeff Skinner, Adam Henrique, Vasily Podkolzin. Let's throw Kapanen in there as well because he's playing with Leon Draisaitl. Who are you taking in Edmonton?
Yeah, it's tough. I like Jeff Skinner, but I don't like where he's playing on that third line. So I'm going to go with my boy Podkolzin as a Canucks fan, especially. He's playing with Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl, he bangs a bunch. He got a goal the other day. That's not too shabby. Yeah, I'd take him, and I'd value Jeff Skinner just below him because, again, Jeff Skinner's got talent. I just don't know what his problem is this year.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, streamers in Edmonton is always a problem, right?
Always.
Like, they get good even strength deployment, guys like Podkolzin and Kapanen and Adam Henrique. Even he's the guy that's getting the most deployment out of those players, but he's doing nothing with it, right? So, I like Podkolzin there. I think that makes sense. The Kapanen is got some decent chemistry with Draisaitl as well, but I think in this type of week, you're probably not looking at Edmonton. You know what? I'll take Jeff Skinner just for kicks, right? Because he's the best offensive player of the bunch, but he's playing third line. So what are you going to do? I don't know. Let's move over to Vancouver, a team close to our hearts, Gagan. It's so nice to talk to a Vancouver Canucks fan. And
all these Leafs fans just taking over. You finally got. I actually like both teams, but yeah,
I do too. Actually, I like the Leafs a lot. But
I like the Leafs. They're fun.
yeah, I mean, you know my pain. You know our
Yeah.
pain. All right,
Yeah.
we've been through the ringer. All right, and it could still be a little while before we win the cup. Oh God! But anyways, we got some beauties here. How about B for Sherwood?
Oh man,
I've got him in both my bangers leagues. I picked him up immediately, like
good.
a month ago, or even longer, and it's been a wild ride. This guy is leading the league in hits by a wide margin. He's lapping the field, and he put some offense on the board too. So I love Kiefer Sherwood. But anyways, Sherwood, P.S. Suter, who's weirdly scoring a crap ton of goals right now. Dakota Joshua, who I think is starting to find his legs as well.
He's heating up, yeah.
Talk to me about the Canucks. Who is your favorite streamer on the team, and who you're looking to add this week?
I mean, out of these three, Sherwood is just. I love this guy. I literally think I'm gonna get his jersey. He's just won over every Canucks fan. He gives it 130%. I think I forget where I heard this. It was 31, 32 thoughts or something. But Kiefer Sherwood is like allergic to literally everything. Like even he has to wear special gloves under his hockey gloves because like
I heard that he wore gloves, but I didn't know it was because he was allergic.
Yeah, no, he is allergic to freaking everything. So like because of that, he's really like particular about like what he puts in his body. He's really strict on like, how he trains, and this dude has some discipline. I really respect that about him. And you could see that if Rick Tocchet loves you, then yeah, you're a special player. So Kiefer Sherwood all the way, Sutter and Josh. What's funny about these three is they're all in power play too. So I mean, you might not be able to. They might give each other assists and points together. So I don't know. What do you think of these three? How are you valuing them?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go Sherwood. There's no question there. Yeah. But Connor Garland, I'm just looking up here. He's 53% rostered, and he's been moved off power play 1 with JT Miller returning, which is interesting. Obviously, DeBrusk is cooking right now. He's going nuts.
Yeah, you can't take him off.
Yeah, that makes sense. Keep him out there. He scored again the other night. So Garland going to power play 2 makes sense. But if he's out there, like, I mean, as you know, every time Garland is out there, he's making crap happen. This guy is probably my favorite player on the team. I don't even I know Nate makes fun of me, but every time I watch the team, I'm like, oh man, this game's going south. And then they get Garland out there and he just makes some magic happen. He might not score, but he's just epic. So I shout out to Connor Garland.
My wife's favorite player because he wears a neck guard, and that's safe.
A white neck guard lately, which is pretty interesting. Definitely a nice fit there for that man. So shout out to him. But Kiefer Sherwood, I think this guy definitely can get you some, even in points leagues with any kind of peripheral weighting. Kiefer Sherwood is absolutely viable. So I'd definitely be adding him
He's
there.
got like 4 or 5 games where he has 10 hits, and that's a solid amount of points, without even shooting the puck.
It's crazy stuff, man. Yeah. All right, we got to move forward here. You know what? We've got some other teams, again, with a decent schedule, but because it's so good this week, we're going to leave those teams alone. There are, I will mention the teams, LA, Ottawa, Seattle. They all play 4 games with 1 off night. So those are teams you want to look at. And then there are 5 teams with 3 games and 2 off nights. Carolina, Detroit, Minnesota, New York Rangers, and Toronto. Very good stuff. You're going to have a ton of options. So what I would suggest, without us going into all these players, I think that, if you need any help with ads, definitely hit us up, hit Gagan up, hit myself up, hit Nate up. We can help you with your ads there, but we're going to move on. All right. We got to talk about the Apples and Genos Patreon. Okay. Oh, yeah. We're doing stuff over there. So I'll talk about, the supporter tier. If you want to pay $2 a month, you get access to the patron only live shows where you get to see Nate Grudniblik. And lately he's been doing the shows without a shirt. So, I mean,
that's by popular demand, without a shirt.
Yeah, that's absolutely worth $2 a month. I mean, this guy's got washboard abs. It's bizarre. You can't see it because, we're on the camera, but I mean, he's a very fit individual. Let's agree on that. And then for $8 a month, which is the Apples tier, you get all the supported level perks plus access to the patron-only Discord channels where you can ask Nate and myself and Gagan questions. Also, you get show notes for things like the Waiver Wire show here, where we've got all the players that we're interested in adding this week here, and also the A&G player evaluation tools. That's really what you want to get your mitts on. All right, that's how we value players here. That's giving you all the shots and goal per 60, the individual Corsi 4, all that stuff from Natural Stat Trick. Nate has created a Google sheet that really gets the biz on that. So $8 a month for that. And then if you're a true degenerate, get the Genos tier, which is $15 a month. All the Apple's perks, all that stuff we mentioned, plus you get every single question answered by Nate Kruten-Nimblick,
Every single one.
The legend. And plus, Gagan and I will give you a hot rock massage, with tip, right? We need a tip, Gagan.
Yeah.
You can't just do it.
The economy is awful. You got to tip me to at least 20%.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of my salary. I rely on that to feed my family. So, but we're going to give you a beautiful massage. Gagan's confirmed it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. We got to talk about the dream streams, the best players to stream of these players that we've talked about, or the teams we've talked about. And Gagan, I'm going to rattle off a list here, and I want you just to talk to me about this list. And is it too high, too low? Any players I'm missing? So let's get into that. Best teams, best players for points, and these are ranked by Nate. So he's kind of made a list here. Troy Terry at number 1. I think it makes absolute sense. We've talked about this player. Nick Schmaltz, Logan Stankoven, all guys we've talked about already. Logan Cooley, Anton Lundell at number 5, Evan Rodriguez at number 6. So Nate agrees with me, Gagan. And,
barely.
Barely. Yeah, it's probably like a 51%, 49% situation. Both are great streamers for this upcoming week. Casey Middlestat, PLD, Alexi Protas, and we've got Olin Zellweger here as the number 10. Obviously, he's just coming off a healthy scratch, but I think it's going to be a one and done there with Olin Zellweger, and I think he's going to be absolutely viable. Anybody you're interested in there? What do you think of this list here, Gagan? Do you think it's in the right order, or would you change anything?
You know what? Troy Terry, top of the tops. I feel like this is, I totally agree with that. I feel like this might be last call on Troy Terry. If he goes off this week, you're not going to get him no one's going to drop him, right? And he's got a lot of opportunity to really go off this week. Getting a ton of deployment, as we talked about. I love Troy Terry. This is possibly a rest of season hold. Troy Terry has always been like the number 1 streamer for this team, but like the opportunity is really lining up for this week to have him pop off. And because I said that, this asshole is going to get zeros across the board. I promise.
Well, if he could just put up a 0 for his next game, I mean, he's Nate's pick in the head-to-head streamer deathmatch, and he's beating me currently, and I don't need that. All right, I want to wipe the floor with Nate. So, but Troy Terry, this guy's criminally under rostered every year. He's only 25% rostered right now, and I think it makes a lot of sense. That's on Yahoo, right? And their standard league is a cats league, right? And Troy Terry, he's a dancing boy. Okay, he avoids hits actively. All right, he doesn't do that. But what he does do is cook under the hood and get the biz offensively. So I'm a big fan of Troy Terry. Let's move on. Best for hits, Jack McBain. He's at number 1. Obviously, Radko Gudas is out there. Ross Johnston? Sure.
Ross the boss.
Pivot. Jansen Harkins. I don't even know who that is. E2 Lewis Starnen. All right. Those are your hits players ranked. I mean, yeah. That's the place to get your hits on the waiver wire, honestly. Like,
if you can get Ragdo Gudas, like get out and get him if hits means something. But I don't know.
I think Jack McBain is probably more gettable, and he's playing in the top 6 there. So that's definitely a viable player. Best for blocks, Ian Cole of Utah, Oli Mata, Radko Gudas again, Martin February. How do you say that name, Gugs?
I just say February because
Martin February. Of the Washington Capitals, and Essa Lindell of the Dallas Stars are going to give you what you need for those blocks. But
I miss Ian Cole. Do you miss Ian Cole?
I liked him until the playoffs. You remember how many pucks went off his ass?
Yeah,
the net.
That really bastardized. He was so valuable, man. Other than that series, I had no complaints about him. That sucks. His ass is always in the wrong place. But anyways, let's go ahead.
No, you're right, man. I mean, he's a glue guy, right? Yeah. And now, like the Canucks are talking about getting rid of Vincent Desharnais, which is a bit of a surprise. I like Vincent Desharnais. Honestly, you know who they need to get rid of? Tyler Myers. Get him the hell out of my sight. That long-necked beauty, that vampire bait. I actually love Tyler Myers as a person, as a player. What the hell, man? He's literally a pylon. He's an orange pylon out there with a long ass neck.
Man, who could have saw this coming? Huh? We only
why did they sign
5 years?
Jeez. I don't get it, but obviously he must be good in the dressing room, or I don't know. Maybe he's a good cook and he does the catering for the team. I don't know what's
You know
happening there.
what? If you're like tall as shit and a right shot defenseman,
Yeah.
go
He's
get
a
your
great
money.
skater too. He's a great
Yeah,
skater.
he's good
There's
at
no question
skating.
there.
Yeah.
All right. Enough Tyler Myers there. That's not what you're here for.
Never
Anyway,
enough Tyler Myers. Anyways, you're right.
that's true. All right. We got to move on to the next segment here, which we like to call Hold Me. All right. These are the best players to add rest of season, right? These are guys that are 50% rostered and under. And I'm interested to get your take here, Gugs, on some of these beauties. At number one here, still only 33% rostered.
Crazy.
Rusty.
Brian Rust.
He's so keeno on Beefarino. Rusty, this guy popped pretty much. I'm sure he was on everybody's bench when he popped for
Not mine.
Yeah. Oh, nice. You got that. I love it.
Felt good.
I dropped Brian Rust for to add Mackenzie Blackwood in a points league. The only spot I had Brian Rust, and I hate myself.
That happens. I
Because
can't blame you for that.
I mean, geez, but I think this is a guy. Nate called for 70 points this year. Yeah, makes that. I mean, at least that pace, right? Like that's where we're at, and he's 33% rostered. Makes no sense. Pavel Buchnevich is out there. Troy Terry, we talked about. JJ Peterka. What's your temperature on this guy? Because he's off power play 1. He obviously he was benched the other night there in Lindy Ruff world. Where are you at with JJ Peterka? Do you have him anywhere?
No, I dropped him again. Most of my leagues are bangers cats, and if you're not even getting points and you're barely shooting, I'm just not interested. My opinion on Paterka is he has that ceiling. We saw it in the latter half of last season. He was solid for everyone. He won some people the playoffs having that for free off the wire.
Yep.
But the question is his floor, especially what's his floor during this awful stretch of losing games for Buffalo. No one's going to have patience if you're not shooting the puck. The coach Lindy Ruff isn't going to give you ice time if you're not producing at this point. They're desperate. So yeah, I don't know. I want to see a bit of something before I add him to my teams. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like that take a lot. He's just not getting it done. And something that Lindy Ruff said for the benching was he just had a bunch of giveaways in a row, and they're trying to hold the players accountable there. And it was nice, like obviously, he came back out and got an assist on Tage Thompson's goal there in the last game, but. Yeah, without power play 1, it's his ceiling is severely capped, and that's not what we want to see. But I did read something too, just another quote from Lindy Ruff. Like they're going to be mixing and matching that power play. They're basically grasping at straws now, trying to get some production. So I think Peterka will be back on power play 1, and hopefully he takes this benching in stride. And I still think like Nate's got him as his 4th ranked player to add, and I ain't hating it. I think this is a guy that you need to keep your eye on and probably should have on your team. So anyways, that's JJ Peterka. Patty Kane is sneaking under the 50% mark here. He's 49% rostered. And this is a player I do want to just talk about briefly and get your thoughts on because I just added him in my couple team. Someone dropped him because of course they did, right? Because he's doing jack crap. I mean, he's on a 34-point pace. He's doing nothing out there, and not only nothing, he's not even shooting. He's not even getting periffs. Like nothing's happening. So what's your temperature at with Patrick Kane? Do you think this is a guy that can bounce back this year?
Man, it's tough. It's so tough because has father time finally come for this guy? Even last year, he was very serviceable. He got you the points you needed to get, but this year he's just a ghost of his former self. So I haven't had a good look at his fancy stats, his analytics. What do you think of that? It really doesn't seem like he's playing well as far as the eye test is concerned. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they're not good, right?
Yeah.
But something that Patrick Kane has done pretty well throughout his career is shoot the puck. And he's really not doing that this year. So that's fallen off a cliff. I think, obviously there were some injury concerns. He's still probably battling that a little bit. Also, I think Derek Lalonde is one of the worst coaches in the NHL, right? Like these guys are just getting they're not generating a damn thing. Certainly not Patrick Kane's line. I talked about Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin.
Yeah. You got me excited for DeBrincat.
Yeah. And that line is cooking but Patrick Kane is definitely not, right? So he's still power play 1. And I think I just picked him up in Cacuffle and I was kind of excited about that. I was low-key excited. I'm like, yeah, to me, this is still Patrick Kane. This is a Hall of Famer. This is a guy that knows how to get the job done. So yeah, it's an absolute cold spell. with a pretty bad team. But he's still power play 1. I think there's still some value here. He's not going to keep putting up zeros. He hasn't fallen off a cliff. He doesn't look like some old man out there. So I think Patrick Kane is definitely worth a hold at this point. But yeah, it's going to hurt. Obviously, like I've got him on my team. I picked him up this week because I'm dominating my matchup. So it's like, whatever. I don't really care. Like, I want Patrick Kane and see what happens for a few games, right? Because I do think this is a guy that's going to get back to biz. But anyways, let's carry on. Sean Monahan's on here. Monahan. Gabriel Velarde, Logan Stankoven, Logan Cooley. We talked about those players. Nicky Schmaltz, Tyler Toffoli, Jeff Gillooly. I always think about Jeff Gillooly when I talk about Tyler Toffoli. Do you know who Jeff Gillooly is?
I have no clue. Who is that?
That was Tanya Harding's bodyguard, the guy who clubbed Nancy Kerrigan. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I don't know that much. Yeah. I listen. I was like 3 years old when that happened, but I do.
Don't tell me that. I thought we were kindred spirits, Gagan. And you're Nate's age, aren't you? This is terrible.
Through osmosis, I've learned about Tanya Harding through like watching fucking Simpsons and David Letterman and shit. But
I was there. All right. I was lucid watching those highlights. Anyways, Jeff Gillooly, shout out to him. Shout out to Tyler Toffoli. Definitely, I think someone who can be added. Igor Sharangovich is on this list for Nate. That's getting a little spicy for me. I've got Sharangovich in a spot based on the metrics that he used to have like 2 weeks ago. This is a guy that
he had great metrics,
and now he's fallen off a cliff in terms of his metrics. So I think that's a guy you want to hold on to because he's a pure sniper, but he's not sniping and he's also not shooting or getting scoring chances. So that's a tenuous one for me. I think he might be lower down on the list there, but I'm going to continue on here. Josh Norris, I think, is an absolute stud. 40% rostered. We should probably own him a little bit higher than that. Dylan Holloway really getting to biz. He played a great game against the Canucks the other night. That really stunk with the overtime winner.
But I think he's getting power play 1. I think they're going to like move Neighbors.
Maybe, get Neighbors down there. Holloway is really like, this guy has been an amazing offer sheet. Like that was a really smart move. Dickish, right?
Screw that. You're who cares about that? Your job as GM is to make sure you have the best team possible. I hope this opens the floodgates for offer sheets.
I like offer sheets, but I mean, I can see why GMs would be like, what's your problem? Like, what is your actual problem, buddy? But I mean, they snaked Holloway and Philip Broberg, who look like real NHL players there for the Blues. So nice job there. Elias Lindholm is on this list, but he's currently injured right now, might miss next game. Also, I mean, God, what is he doing? Matthew Nyes makes this. William Eklund is a player I am actually excited about. Marco Rossi is the last player on Nate's list. I'd probably bump him up.
Yeah, I like Marco Rossi.
Yeah. I like Marco Rossi a lot. I think with with Jeek out here, I think there's tons
Sky's
of
the limit.
Yeah, and he has some chemistry on that line, although they just got pumped by the Oilers 7-1. The Wild, like that didn't look too good. But I like the outlook for Rossi, 29%, a little bit low. Anyone that you're interested in that list there, that I just read off?
Yeah, no, the top 3 are just Brian Rust, man. I love this guy.
Let's go.
Fucking hat trick and a half. I love him. Dylan Holloway, I'm excited for. I know he doesn't have power play 2, but he's playing like a beast. He's got the coach's attention. I would add Dylan Holloway and just see what happens because I honestly feel like he's getting power play 1 sooner or later, unless he just starts sucking out of nowhere. I love Matthew Nyes. He's a big boy. He hits. He gets you points. He's on power play 1. Speaking of which, a 5 forward power play is actually sticking. I'm loving that.
Yeah, actually, I just saw a tweet today.
Oh, no.
It was, but a tweet just came out today. They're going back with Riley on the point there.
Oh, so, you son of a bitch!
So, yeah, I know. But I think Nice still has some value. But I mean, obviously it was higher when he was on power play 1, and he didn't look out of place there. Right, this is a guy. I think a really good supplementary piece to some of the stars there, but I think he's a little bit buried. It's crazy. He's 43% rostered. That's interesting to me, right? I think that's all power play 1 rostership right there.
Definitely.
Right. So we have to keep our eye on Matthew Nyes, but this guy's he's obviously a good player, and I hope he does get back to power play 1. They obviously don't like Morgan Riley on the back end there. They don't like OEL there, but they're going back.
I thought OEL did pretty good moving the puck down. Right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's go to sub 20% rostered. Pavel Zacha at 12%. Sure, especially if Elias Lindholm's going to miss any time. Zach
Yeah.
gets a little boost there, but it's on a really bad Boston team, so keep that in mind.
I've been waiting 14 years for someone to say that we're a really bad Boston team. I'm so happy.
Yes, sir. Okay, buddy, we are together on this.
I will never forget 2011.
I know, buddy. It was so painful. I remember watching it. I was watching it by myself. Like I watched all the games with friends, and then for some reason, Game 7, I was just by myself, watching it at home. And yeah, it was so depressing. And then the riot started in Vancouver, and I just forgot about everything. So it kind of took the sting away. But I don't know. It's the sting's still there. All right. Every time I think about that series, I just think about Brad Marchand punching Daniel Sedin in the face like over and over again. It's like, you awful. Piece of stool.
And I especially hate how Marchand has like a likable personality recently.
I know.
With
He
like
is likable.
Chicklets guys. I hate that
I know.
freaking guy.
He's likable. What can you do? I don't know. He's not on the ice, but yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of a beauty, a guy you want on your team. Anyways, why the hell are we talking about him?
Sorry,
let's carry on. Jason Zucker here is sub 20%. Definitely a player of interest, but you got to keep an eye on the power play 1 deployment. Yeah. If he's off power play 1, he's off this list for me. I'm not interested at all in Jason Zucker, although great streamer this week. He got you that big game there on Monday. I love that. Yegor Chinikov makes this list. Dmitry Voronkov of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Those guys are doing stuff. Obviously, Chinikov's injured, so you got to keep an eye there. Matty Beniers, a guy I was sort of high on going into the season. He's 11% rostered. It hasn't really panned out, but I mean, he's still doing just enough. This is a player that is shows out in things like microstats that I'm really interested in: zone entries, chance assist, shot assist. He does that, but in terms of his individual metrics that he brings to the table, nothing really happening. And now he's playing with Chandler Stevenson. God, I mean, is there a big? He's the biggest buzzkill in fantasy hockey, Chandler Stevenson. I mean, geez, that's
a nerd's name, freaking nerd.
Yeah, nerd. You guys check out the nerd.
Chandler.
What that guy, like every time I think about the contract that guy signed in Seattle, I think about that IKEA commercial where that lady's like, "Start the car," and she just gets there, like drives away. It's like, how?
That's perfect. Yeah.
How did you do that, Chandler? Well done.
That agent is a legend. Good for him.
Absolutely. Sub 10% rostered. Connor Zary, really talented guy on Calgary. Just needs some deployment. Anthony Duclair, injured but skating. I think Duclair is going to be really viable when he comes back. And I want to get your thoughts on a couple Blackhawks here, buddy. Taylor Hall and Tyler Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi in particular, I think it's been popping off a little bit here lately, and I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on those players coming into this upcoming week.
With the coaching change, this could be a bit of a bump. I gotta admit, guys, I haven't been watching enough of the Blackhawks this year, even though I'm a big fan of Bedard. But no, Bertuzzi's got that talent in him. He's got that dog in him, and I feel like everyone has a bit of an extra, jump in their step just to get on the right side of this new coach. It seems like they really hated their last guy quite a bit. So we all expected a lot more from both Tyler Bertuzzi and Taylor Hall. I think we've seen the lowest of their lows. I would expect their ownership to jump up in the coming weeks. I think they have more just talent than this, unless of course they're injured. I would take a flyer on Bertuzzi.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree with that. But Bertuzzi's the guy I'm interested in here. He's playing on the second line there with Taylor Hall, but he's getting power play 1, which I really like to see. Yeah. And I like the offensive outlook a little bit better under Sorensen than I did with Luke Richardson. I think, they've said all the right buzzwords for me, like activate the defense. We're going to work on offense. You're like, yeah, buddy, please. All right. And Bertuzzi's put together a nice little run here. He's got 3 goals in the last 5 games. Those are all in the last 2 games that Tyler Bertuzzi scored. So, and he's got a bunch of shots in those games too. So I actually added him as a spec ad in Cupful just for next week, just to see what happens. So I'm in on Tyler Bertuzzi. I want to see what he can do. But yeah, Taylor Hall, I'm not as interested in, but I'm watching. To me, the Blackhawks are like homework games at this point. I want to see what they do under this new coach, and can they extract a little bit more offense from some of these players, right? So Bertuzzi is a guy that has done it in the past, so that's a guy I'm semi-interested in. Anyways, let's move on. Matt Coronado of the Flames, Barrett Hayton, Cutter Gauthier. round out the sub 10% roster there. Let's look at the long-term plays on defense. Nate's got Olin Zellweger here as his top pick, but that was before he got that healthy scratch. So we could probably bump him down a little bit there.
Yep.
But I still think that's a guy that you're going to want to have rest of the season. Justin Falk, Lane Hudson at 41%, who's taken over power play 1 there for the professor, Mike Matheson. What the hell? Give it back, Lane. All right. At least for one more season while I own stocks of Michael Matheson. Please help me out. Jared Spurgeon of the Wild. He's getting power play 1 deployment. Not doing a ton with it,
Not
but
doing
he's
much
there.
With it, unfortunately, yeah.
The Power Glove, Owen Power, Luke Hughes, Bowen Byram, the Pickle, Alex Vlasic, Emil Andre, and Jacob Trouba round out that list. Anybody you're interested in here in this first list of long-term plays for defensemen?
I'm actually a big fan of Alex Vlasic. I like him. I think he's got potential, and the problem is Seth Jones might come back sooner rather than later. But as of right now, out of all those guys, I'm gonna ride the Vlasic train. He had a really good game I think yesterday. Got you some points, some power play points, and he's always good for peripherals. He's kind of like Seth Jones Jr. maybe. And you know what? Who knows if you pick him up now? Who knows if he keeps that power play 1 spot. I like him for a long term at the moment.
Yeah, I think so too. I've got him in 2 spots, and I'm not convinced that Seth Jones jumps right back on a power play 1. When Seth Jones was healthy, they were putting Vlasic on power play 1 at times. So I think he's sort of acquitted himself well. And like you said, the periffs are there. He's really good at blocking. And he's getting the biz there, and he's got access to power play 1 with Bedard, who's a buy low himself. I think that's totally a guy that could be popping off a lot more. And I think he will here in the second half of the season. So I like Alex Vlasic a lot there as well. I like Luke Hughes. I should say that as well. He's 44% rostered. I think he's rounding into form closer to what he was able to do last season. So some interesting pieces there.
You think he'll get power play 1 again?
I don't, not unless that's a number 1 power play right now over there in New Jersey, and Dougie Hamilton is the quarterback. So
he's doing great too.
Yeah, there's zero reason for them to change that power play. So I don't think so.
I think I just had PTSD from last year. I had Dougie everywhere, and
it was painful, man. But I had Dougie too, and I ranked him pretty high. And then when he was even healthy, they put Hughes out there. So that was a wild thing. But I think it's Hamilton's power play to lose at this point.
I've been sorry. I've been on the Discord. I feel like Lane Hudson's been a hot topic. What do you think about him? Do you think he sticks there? He passes the eye test, no problem. He's really fun.
Yeah, really fun player.
He's like Quinn Hughes Jr. I love watching him.
Certainly offensively. I mean, defensively, he's got some problems.
Yeah.
Offensively, this guy walks the line with the best of them. He's incredible out there. He's bringing people out of their seats. So that's obviously something you like. And we're talking about fantasy hockey, not real hockey. So I mean,
defense doesn't matter to us. Who cares?
I definitely like Lane Hudson, but the problem is it matters to the coach, right? So it's like if you're playing like crap defensively, you're not going to get the ice time. So that said, his partner right now is Mike Matheson. So they're a tandem. They're playing together, and Lane Hudson has power play 1. So this guy should be an ad until further notice for sure.
I actually dropped Mike Matheson for Lane Hudson. So we'll see.
I mean, depending on the format, I don't know about that, Gagan. What are you doing? Like, don't drop the professor, but that stings. Him getting off power play 1, and maybe he doesn't get it back. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's a risk. It's a risk, but
man, I mean, Hudson.
I think I just got too excited because I just really like watching Hudson play.
Me too, buddy. He's a great defenseman. Really fun to watch, and you know who else was a great defenseman and fun to watch when he came to the league? Quinn Hughes.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not saying Lane Hudson is Quinn Hughes, clearly, but
not yet.
Offensively, like they do a lot of similar things, right? They're small in stature, and the puck skills are insane. Yeah. So I love that. Anyway, shout out to Lane Hudson. Mm-hmm. Let's move on. Sub 20% rostered. We talked about Zellweger, Vlasic, Emil Andre. I'm not as interested in Andre anymore because Drysdale is getting power play 1 there, but Andre is definitely a player of interest. Matt Roy, Timothy Liljegren, Simon Edmondson. Any of those guys you interested in?
Liljegren I actually really liked when he was a Leaf because he just banged all day, and he gets some touches on power play 1, but lately Wallman's been. If Timothy Liljegren, if he gets power play 1, Did I get it?
No, I think that's what Nate said. So I follow Nate on that.
Nate was saying he wants to be pronounced Liljegren, but it just makes me
Yeah,
feel weird.
that doesn't sound right. We're
Seems
pronouncing
wrong.
every consonant now. What's
Right.
happening?
Exactly. I don't know if he's on the Sharks power play one, I'm always excited to add him, but Wallman's been killing it there. So
Yep. Awesome. I do like Simon Edmondson as well. I mean,
oh yeah,
maybe
he's
not for fantasy, maybe just more in real life.
Yeah.
He seems like a beast, but yeah, Detroit's a stinky team. So
Mhm.
shout out to them. Let's talk about goalies and then let's get the hell out of here, buddy. We're getting long in the tooth, but it feels good. This is a long time coming, buddy. We got to get the biz on this. We got to do some more episodes together.
Let's do it.
Yep, absolutely, man. All right, long-term plays for the goalie position. Peter Mrazek, 24% rostered. He's on IR right now. So Arvid Soderblom is getting some run. Playing pretty well. But yeah, Mrazek, I think, is a guy that can do some stuff for you this year. Cam Talbot, he's a little bit dinged up right now as well. 49% rostered. Elvis Merzlikins, Charlie Lindgren, sub 25% rostered. Carl Vamelka, Vegetable Lasagna. Don't get any on you. John Gibson of the Ducks, Tristan Jarry, Samuel Urson. Talk to me about some 0G tendies that are, crushing it for you right now, and any of these players that you're interested in?
I love some tendies. Karel Vejmelka, man, he's been an all-star for me. I picked him up as soon as Ingram went out on the IR. He's had some downs, but he's had quite a few ups too, especially the last string of games. He's been above 900 save percentage, just like for maybe like one for a good chunk. I'm just a big fan. I benched him on the last game against Colorado because of course Colorado's going to light him up, and he held his own, man. Maybe Colorado should have sold the farm to get this guy because he's legit. He's talented. I like him. So he's on my tops. If you got Vejmelka out there and you follow our 0G philosophy, I'd put him on your team.
Yep. I like Vejmelka as well. I mean, obviously with Ingram out, it must be hard as a goalie. Like you got a guy performing to the level that Ingram did last year, sort of took over the number one spot, was playing pretty well to start this year as well, where Vejmelka wasn't. It's like you kind of need that pressure off. Like the guy's injured, so it's your show, buddy. Right. And he's sort of taking the reins with that. And yeah, I think he's been pretty good. John Gibson's an interesting piece. Obviously, like playing for the Ducks, like we're not interested, but does he get moved? Right?
Lucas we might have a Blackwood situation here.
Yeah. I mean, John Gibson on another team, I'm interested, right? Obviously, like we're looking at defensive environment of the team, but I think Gibson could go to a potential contender, right?
A real contender.
Yeah,
I think Elliot Friedman was saying that Carolina is quite interested. They're still doing their little song and dance, but I feel like Carolina is a strong suitor for him at the moment. Man, him on Carolina, oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, Gibson to Carolina, we're adding, right? We're adding and then see what happens at that point, right?
Absolutely.
Because this guy thrives under, it's weird because he's been so good in Anaheim, just in terms of like, he loves getting a ton of shots, right? And he gets that in Anaheim. So what does he look like with Carolina, where they're the best team in the league in Corsi against per 60? Like they suppress a ton of shot attempts, ton of shots. So yeah, what does he look like there? I don't know. Can he just rest a little bit and not like go out of his mind standing on his head trying to win the team games?
It might actually be an awful match now that I think about it, because he's used to eating pucks.
A guy like Jacob Markstrom too is another player that really thrives under a lot of duress, like action. And going to New Jersey, that was kind of an interesting fit because they were a team, before this year, they were a team that really gave up a ton of chances against, right? So it was kind of a good fit. And this year it's been interesting because they've gotten better defensively under Sheldon Keefe. But yeah, that's something I learned with my conversations with Kevin Woodley is like, the environment, it's not just like take this good goalie and put him on this good team and it's all of a sudden going to equal like success, right? Like some guys like Jacob Markstrom, they thrive under really bad situations, right? Like with the Canucks. Remember Jacob Markstrom with the Canucks? Like he would light it up, but they were the most acrobatic saves you've ever seen. He was out of his mind. And then meanwhile, if he has a game where he has like 20 shots on net, he's letting in 5 goals.
Classic.
Right. So yeah, it's interesting to watch. But anyways, we're digressing. But John Gibson, I think, is a player of interest for sure if he gets traded. I picked up Samuel Urson in the league as well. I think he's going to get some run there in Philly. So he could do a lot worse. Anyways, let's move on to the head-to-head streamer deathmatch. We don't have to talk about this too long. Nate is beating me. And I'm so glad he's not here to gloat. All right, that's a really nice piece here. But
I'll
Troy
gloat for
Terry,
you, Nate.
oh God,
Take that.
oh damn,
Yeah,
Gagan,
take
why are you
that.
doing that? I thought you were with me. Troy Terry beating the brakes off of Dylan Cousins this week. Troy Terry has 17 points in cupful scoring. Dylan Cousins has 5.75. I've got 2 games left. He's got 1 left. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, I'm up so big. I don't mind taking a few L's here on Nate. That's fine. Get his confidence up and then smash him down again. All right. That's
nice of you.
That's kind of the plan there. All right. But that's it, buddy. That's how we get from A to B. Gagan, did you have a good time?
That was great. I had a good ass time. That was fun. We got to do some more of these.
I know we absolutely will, man. And we kept it under 90 minutes.
Wow.
We did our best, folks. All right. But I'm chatty and Gagan is also chatty, apparently. So that's how we do. But that's all we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value and helped you get just a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource. Gagan, did you know about this?
Yes, Natural Stat Trick is a fantastic resource, but you know what? It's a little bit jumbled, and it feels like that meme from The Hangover where Zach Galifianakis is doing like math and symbols.
Yeah.
If you want to avoid that, you join our Patreon, and we got a fresh sheet that takes all those fancy numbers and just simplifies it for you, and you'll have a huge edge on your opponents. You might be paying a few bucks for the Patreon, but you're getting a lot more money at the end of the season because you'll be making tons of money off your opponents. So it's a great investment.
Buddy, like I said, this guy jacks you up. It's unbelievable. What a hype, man. Gagan, amazing, buddy. I was so happy to have you on this show. Thanks a lot for being here, man. I really appreciate that. Many thanks to the band there for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify. And that's it, folks. Celebrate your day. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Sick.